Hey everyone, welcome to a cell phone video. I'm doing a cell phone video because I've got a ton of stuff to do today and I'm not going to be by the computer much. So you can look at my hand for entertainment reasons, and we'll look at my spinner rack, and there's some shipping labels down here because I'm going to be shipping soon. I'm ready to ship. I just need the books. Um, and while we're looking at the spinner rack here, Psycho 66. I just got this in the mail. This was written by Matt Fowler and drawn by Matt Weldon, and yeah, it looks really good. I think Alejandro Mirabel did the cover. Fantastic. I can't wait to read that. Um, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. So, the topic of the video. I was thinking a lot about why a blacklist exists. So I've talked to a ton of people in comics. I've talked to a handful, maybe like half a dozen to a dozen comic book professionals that have worked for Marvel and DC or DC. And I've asked many times about what it's like to be a conservative working in comics, and some people I've interviewed say that they don't get work, they miss opportunities because of their politics, and some said they were never blacklisted, and some are very adamant about it. Like I'm thinking of like Mitch Breitweiser. He said that he was never blacklisted. He never claimed to be blacklisted. He was very explicit about saying that. And then someone like Mike S. Miller, he told me that he absolutely did lose work because of his politics. And so after sort of doing indie comics, I'm finishing up my second book and getting ready to launch my third book. I'm kind of learning that the way things work on a small level, it's a good indicator of how they work on a large level. And I think that that's how a lot of things work, honestly. But in comics, for example, if my circle of people that I work with is so big, and if it's determined by politics, then of course I'm only going to hire people that have my same politics. That's not right. I think it's silly, and you're really cutting yourself off if like in your real life, do you never talk to anybody or associate with anybody that has different politics from you? That to me is absurd. But I've come to realize that I think a lot of comic book professionals, that is how they actually live their lives. Like they don't. If you never talk to conservatives, if you never see them as human beings, why on earth would you hire a conservative knowingly, right? It just doesn't make much sense. On that same note, for me, my circle is not determined by politics, though, admittedly, there's probably some like unintentional, just because I've got the Sweetcast channel, I'm always talking about politics anyway, so maybe people where politics is a big issue, they're not going to associate with me, and so therefore my circle has become smaller, perhaps. But you get the idea. Essentially, this is how blacklisting works, probably like 90% of the time. I think 90% of the time, and I realize that's kind of an arbitrary number, but most of the time it's just because they don't associate. An editor's not going to associate anybody that looks, acts, thinks like you, and therefore, of course, they're not going to hire you. They're going to hire the same buddies, the same people that they see all the time, over and over and over again. And to some extent, that makes sense. Like, as far as letterers go, so far I've only ever hired Eric Weathers. I don't really have many plans to hire other people because he does a great job, and it just makes my life more simple to just use the same letterer. So am I blacklisting other letterers from working on my projects? No, I wouldn't call it a blacklist, but you see how it works. It's just a smaller circle. So yeah, I see that in indie comics happening all the time. I'm sure that that's how it works on the mainstream. So when I see some of the politicking that goes on in comics, like maybe you saw on Twitter that Max Visaggio was saying that Sean Gordon Murphy had this. I'm just gonna call it politicking, but basically he said that he would give Mags some opportunity to do something or whatever. Mags is on a short list, and then at the same time, on the same token, um, he just didn't give Mags work. So Mags expressed this as love bombing, or that Sean Gordon Murphy was doing it so that Mags would protect him, I guess, when the SJWs came. Sounds bizarre, especially when I say that out loud. Sounds extremely bizarre, but again, the way that it works, more often than not, if it works on a smaller scale, it works on a larger scale. The way that that actually works in real life and in practice is that you are networking with people, and if you're networking with people, you try to generally be nice and make friends. That's how it works everywhere. You don't generally go around trying to make enemies. That's ridiculous. Maybe some people do that, but most people are trying to be friendly and have good working relationships. And then yeah, there's also intention behind that. So yeah, that's kind of silly, but you can see how it works. I think honestly, here's my conspiracy theory hat. I think that's how conspiracies work too, or that's how the government does things. Like you wonder, like what is going on in the Trump administration? Well, have you ever been in a boardroom? Have you ever been in a working environment? It works basically the same way. I mean, you've got different individuals, but people are still people, and so it really isn't all that difficult to figure out how things work, as long as you can see it, as long as you have something that's analogous to it in your own life. But comics is such an interesting thing because comic book creators are so different. I've never met, like, generally speaking, comic book creators are sort of a different crowd of people. But once you get to know them in your small area, then it starts to make sense in how it works in the whole industry at large. I guess that's my point. What do we get? What do we get from this? Just that I think it's healthy to not make your circle defined by politics. I think it's a good idea to make it defined by people that you admire, respect. You think they're really talented, you'd want to work with them. Like there's so many other things that are so much more important than politics, and this is why the industry has shot itself in the foot with really just shrinking who they hang out with. And you realize now, like at those conventions, giving somebody a portfolio at a convention is one thing, but if you're the person going to the bar afterward at the convention, you're the one that is more likely to become friends, be in that circle, and get work. Because all these insane stories that we're hearing, it seems like most of them have been in a bar after a convention. That's where it all goes down. So yeah, I guess that's why I never got work in comics, because I'm not going to bars after conventions with comic book creators. So yeah. Anyway, I know it's kind of rambling, but let me know if this makes sense to you. I'd rather make my circle, I'd rather make it a little bit bigger, but it makes sense why it would be the size that it is, I guess. But I don't want it to ever have anything to do with politics. That's just silly. So thanks for listening. Really appreciate it. I hope this made sense. Downcast, we'll go up here. Downcast is shipping soon. So the printer has it, and I'm just sort of waiting on them to just print it and ship it to me. I'm looking forward to that. I will ship it out to backers ASAP. And then next after that, we have Fatal. And guys, I was on Ethan Van Sciver's stream last night for a little while to celebrate him hitting $1 million. And I mean, just showing, Ethan showed the cover from Fatal, the wraparound cover, and seeing the response was just amazing. And yeah, I went on another stream with the Australians, Clayton and Rob, and Charlie was on there. We just got talking about the writing process. Guys, I'm just so excited about my career in comics. I have no idea where this is taking me, but I do realize that I'm not taking it for granted as to how lucky I am. And it started with that book and this little YouTube channel. And now I'm working on a book. I'm part of the creative team on a book that is seriously, it's better than anything that Marvel and DC are putting out. I would put it up against any single book that they're putting out. I'm feeling very confident about the writing, which is feels good. I've done this enough times. Like I starting to get a much better idea of what you guys like and what lands. And so yeah, I'm so looking forward to that. Thank you very much, everybody. And I'll see you in probably another cell phone video tomorrow because life's a little hectic. Thanks. Bye.